Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'll be sharing a step-by-step guide on how to ace your interview as a designer or pretty much any other professional, as what I'll be sharing today is quite applicable and relevant to other professional fields. This video will be split into 3 parts. The first part are things to do before your interview. The second part is the question phase / answering the question phase. And the third part is becoming the interviewer. So let's get right into the video. The first thing you want to do before any interview is to be prepared. When I mean be prepared, I mean being thoroughly prepared. Being prepared also helps you with any feeling of anxiousness that you might have. I know that most people or some people they feel anxious at talking to people, especially as something as important as an interview, a job interview. So being prepared kind of give you an assurance that things will go well. So how can you be prepared? The first thing you want to do to be prepared is to research the company, check their website, Google them, check them on Glassdoor, check them on anywhere you can find information about them, read about their history, just be well informed about their product offering, their services. Maybe what's their current stats in the market. Just make note of these things. You don't necessarily need to have it at the off the top of your head. Just note them down somewhere, like in your notebook, that if they ask something related to you, you can always just refresh and just look at it. Just keep it short and simple when you're writing it down. But that's the first thing you want to do. Research the company very well. The second thing you want to do is to research the person that's interviewing you. So typically before you get interviewed, you know who is interviewing you. They will CC that, you're going to be having an interview with so and so person. The person can be in CC or not, but you would typically have their name. So the next thing is just go and research about that person, get background information about their journey, what the work they've done in the company, how important it is. Just get knowledge about the person that's also interviewing you. Next thing to do is to go into your interview session being open-minded. Be open-minded, but at the same time, be at alert for any red flag, because this is a meeting that is not just one-sided. It's not just them interviewing you. You are also checking your compatibility. You are also checking if they are good for you. Don't just see it as, they're just scrutinizing me. Also scrutinize them. When you speak to certain people, it gives you an insight into what the culture can look like, what the culture is like, what the management leadership to employee relationship is like. So just be at alert and don't miss those red flags. And the last thing you should do before going to an interview session is to practice. There are AI tools you can use now to simulate interviews. I don't know anyone off the top of my head because I haven't used them, but you can browse them out and use them. You can also try face-to-face, maybe your friends or your brother or your family, to just act as an interviewer, or you just practice on your own. Basically what I do is just practice on my own. So some questions, the common questions, I just kind of just say it through my head a few times so that I won't stumble my word or it can just disappear. So practice. Now to the question phase. There are usually 3 different types of questions you will get in an interview session. They include the technical question, the behavioral / scenario kind of question, and the culture fit kind of question. And this question can come in one interview session or in stages. Some people, some companies, batch them in stages. So my very first job, I had just one phase of interview. I went into the interview session and that was the only one. The next one, it was 3 different type of interviews. So the first one was the meeting with the recruiter. After the recruiter, I had the proper technical skill level kind of interview, whereby the person who interviewed me was directly my manager. So there's a lot of questions about software skills and all of that stuff, technical stuff basically. Then the third phase of the interview was the third phase was a take-home question. Then after passing that phase, the fourth one was the one with the HR. So with the HR is where you get lots of culture fit question, behavioral question. Even in the technical phase, that's when they're asking about your skill. When it's someone, they usually typically ask some of the scenario questions, some of the behavioral question. They want to know how well you handle situations, how flexible you are. So those are the kind of questions you typically get in an interview session. And we'll talk more on these 3 types of questions later on in the video. But first, let's just talk about the first most important, not really important, yeah, it's important basically. Let's talk about the first question that is being asked in any kind of interview. And the question is, so tell me about yourself. How do you answer this question? So what you want to start with is who you are, what you do, your experience or your years of experience, your professional experience basically. You also want to talk about like relevant past work that is related to the job that you are interviewing for. So what I'll typically say is that my name is Sheyi. I am a graphic and brand designer with 3 years of experience. I currently work at Sheyi Studios as a brand designer where I oversee or I work on the visuals, the out of home campaign, this everything that pertains to the visuals of the company. And I also have like agency experience and in-house experience. So me saying I have agency and in-house experience, I'm just highlighting like my past job. So because for designers, like most people really want to have designers that have experience both worlds, that's both agency lifestyle and in-house. So I'll be like, okay, after introducing myself and saying, oh, in-house designer at Sheyi Studios where I do XYZ, I also have experience as an agency designer, so whereby I did XYZ, and sometimes I just wrap it up at that. Like that's just all about me. How you answer that question kind of sets the tone for the interview, and regardless of how you answer that question, to be very frank, interviewers just move on to the next questions. So you also have a chance to redeem yourself at the next question, but make sure you ace this beginning well what you are about, because they can ask you follow-up question is that, oh, I saw you said that you worked at this, can you explain the work you did at this place? And most times it's also followed up with like what is on your resume. If you don't know how to write your resume, I have a video on how to write your resume, and you can, I think I'll link it, it should be up here. Yeah, I'll link the video up here so you can check it out. So typically, so now I want to expand on the 3 types of questions. When it comes to like the technical question, they typically kind of follow what is on your resume. So you could ask, okay, you said at J Studios you did XYZ, so tell me about this project, tell me about that project. What software did you use on it? What tool did you use on it? How did you do this? How did you do that? So how did you do, like they ask so much like technical questions in terms of like your software. It's not like they're going to ask you what's the shortcut of this and that, but they just want to know how you use that software to solve problem. How, because if you basically, they want to know if you are like how will I put it, if you are the one that's like rigid, like I can only work in Photoshop, I can only work in Figma, I can only work in this, can you produce good work with Canva? So that's just the whole essence of that technical questions part of the interview, whereby it might also, on your, if aside your CV or your resume, you also like walk them through your portfolio. You walk them through your portfolio. If you have done an assignment before, and some jobs give you like a take-home assignment to just do, like it's really something simple. If they're asking to like build a brand, a full brand in 3 days, that one is rubbish. If anybody's giving you a job, it's like a pretty very simple job. So on that call, you might also be asked to like walk them through what you have done, your how you broke down the tasks, how you answer the questions, your thought process in creating that visuals. This is where you walk them through it. So this is what you actually like discuss during the technical phase question. So that's that. They also want to know how like you work well in team. How you basically, as a designer, they want to know how you deal with like stakeholders. That, oh, in our company we we work with, because it's in-house, or if it's agency we deal with plenty brands. How fast can you work? Do you want to work under pressure? My brother and my sister, I don't know, if you work under pressure you can say work under pressure, but personally I would not say I work under pressure. Some people say, oh, you don't say no, you don't say. Me, I'm always outright, I'm always kind of frank in my interviews, like, do you work under pressure? I'm like, I do not like to work under pressure. I like everything laid out. But when it comes to terms of being flexible, like say we need something immediately, I can put my best to make things work out. But working under pressure, that's not something I do. It's not in my DNA to do that. So I kind of like put it out there. But if you feel like you work under pressure, you can say, yes, you work under pressure. You like your blood pressure to be pumping. If you want to have high BP, you can go on and do that. That question is like the scenario question, the behavioral question, which I said the first stage interview, that's the manager, the person that asks technical question, can ask you some of all those behavioral questions. The HR would also, this is where they thrive in, this is where they excel in asking all these kind of questions. And they also ask a lot of like culture fit questions. So what is culture fit question? So to them, as you have done interview with the person that interviewed your skills, check your skill level, you might have passed that stage. But when you get to the HR or the people and the culture team, they might see you as someone that's not good enough for the company in terms of being in like their values or their culture. So it's just like, how will I put it? Some people are really good at their job, but they are bad socially, they are bad in terms of team bonding, team, like when I say team bonding, I mean teamwork, not team bonding, jaye, teamwork. They are really bad in working in teams. So this is where like the cultural question comes in. So for the why do you want to work with us question, I'm always kind of very genuine about why I want to work with them. Of course, we know that money is the number one reason, yeah. But aside money, like if you have been prepared, look into their value, their mission, look for something to patch and tell them. But make sure it's sincere about it. Another thing you want to take note is when you're having this kind of cultural fit question or behavioral questions, do not under any circumstances talk bad about your previous employer. Like if they ask you why did you leave where you are going to, don't say they are bad. I used to work late. I used to this thing. It paints you in a bad light. So do not talk about your employer. Like again, I'm going to use myself as an example. On the interview I had, I was asked why I left my previous company. And I was like, okay, in my previous company, I really wanted to work in a team. I wanted to go as a designer. I think where I am currently at that stage, I shouldn't be working in silos. And though the money was good, it wasn't really aligning with my goals. That's why I left. And that was one of the reasons why I left. But another reason that also sparked it was what's it called? Like the not so good issues that happened at that job. But I am not saying that to the interviewer. And if there's anything you want to take out from this question, this type of question, is that make sure you highlight in any of the questions they're asking, in any answer you want to give them, make sure you highlight two things: your flexibility as a person, not just as your skillful designer or whatever profession you are, but your flexibility as a person, as a human being, and how like your team work energy, team spirit. Those are the two things those people look for. So we are in the final part, which is becoming the interviewer part. So this is where you ask your interviewer questions. Like I said initially, this process, this interview session is for both of you to check your compatibility. Are you a good fit for them? Are they a good fit for you? So this is where you ask questions about maybe the job, the person. Just ask questions. I know people say that, oh, if you're not asking questions, it's one of the reasons why you're getting dropped off and whatnot. While it is important to ask questions, like at least just one or two, I want you to know that in terms of job searching and job hunting, there is not a one size fits all advice. Let me tell you something. You can be in an interview for long and decide, okay, you know what, I don't have any question for you guys, and still get the job. It has happened to me. I had an interview once, and in that interview, like I wasn't expecting that interview to be so long. But it was so long, I was just tired. At the end of everything, so do you have any question for me? I was like, no, actually, I don't have any question for you. Like you've pretty much answered everything, and I don't think I'm curious about anything. I'm fine. I thought I wasn't going to get hired for the job. I got hired at the end of the day. But that doesn't mean you should just by default don't ask them question. At least there's something that you want to know about that job. Ask them the question. So let me share some questions I've gathered like randomly over the years. I don't have one of my notebook here, but I will just put them on screen or read them on screen. Some of the questions like you can ask. So the questions are all like themed in a way. You can ask them in different forms. Like it's the same thing you are saying, but in different language. So you can ask them like, what can you do in your probation period that will really impress them? Another form of this question is like, what would success look like for me in this job, in my first 6 months on this job? This one, people swear by it. I've never used it before. Is what concerns do you have about my fit for this role? Like another way to say is like, what concerns do you have about my resume, or what will not make me hired from this job? I know the answer to this, what will not make me hired. It will tell you, oh, if I see a better candidate. So it's better you just ask that, okay, if there's anything, what would like be on your resume that will not let them you get. I'm like, okay, if it's something that will drop this person, what is it that will drop this person? Another thing is like you could ask them what are the challenges that the team is facing. Like so if it's like you're talking to your manager, director, anybody just hiring you, you can just ask them what challenges they are facing, how do they give feedback and support, and what do they enjoy most while working on that job. So another question I like to ask, what is the career progression of that job? Like I love to ask that question. Like, okay, if I'm getting into this job as a graphic designer, what's my career path like if I was to stay on this job? So you hear their question, you're like, okay, this is how they do in this company. So you typically, if they're a good company, typically hear stuff like, oh, you can be, I mean, if you're good at your job, you continue with our job. Our company is a company that supports growth. We offer training, blah, blah, blah. We pay for your courses. And, you can start from being a graphic designer to be a senior graphic designer to be a team lead, supervisor. So they will just tell you like the growth. So okay, yes, so this job, if I get into this job, At least if I'm to spend like 3 years, this is what my 3 years should be like. If I spend like 4 years, my 4 years should be like. So that is just it. You can also just research for more questions to ask, but just have like 2 questions handy to ask. And that will just be all for this video. I hope you found it useful. If you found it useful, please share to your friends and family that might find you useful. Subscribe to the channel. Once again, thank you guys for 500 subscribers. We are almost at 600. This is as at when I'm filming this video is at 582. Thank you once again. Thank you so much. It feels so real. Thank you so much for 580 subscribers. Oh my god, I'm filming this video at after 1 a.m. I'm tired. Thank you for watching always. Bye.